Coming up today on Man 360.
I don't know why. I got out of my car, looked in the window and said, "Oh Lord, not here."
What happens if I have to spend a night out here, out on the trail?
All that and more right here on Man 360. Welcome to Man 360. I'm your host, Brian. Get ready to experience the sights and sounds of the world-famous Florida Strawberry Festival and hear the story of a truly special man, Pastor Mike Fredette. Pastor Mike leads a church adjacent to the main grounds where the festival is held each year. Pastor Mike has been a beacon of hope and love for years, exemplifying Jesus' message not just through words, but through meaningful actions. His heartfelt dedication to serve carnival workers and the many visitors that flock to his small city during the festival is nothing short of inspiring. Join us as we take a tour of the facilities where Pastor Mike and his team provide meals and spiritual support to those in need. His journey includes an incredible story of retiring only to find his true calling once again, and I know that his experiences will resonate with you. But first, we'll kick things off with a quick spin around the Strawberry Festival, complete with a very important taste testing adventure that I bravely undertook. After that, we'll sit down for an inspiring conversation with Pastor Mike to hear more about his passion and work in the community. To wrap up the program, stick around as my friend and YouTube influencer, Aaron Malone, known in the YouTube world as Gideon's Tactical, shares the top 10 essentials for hiking, perfect for your next outdoor adventure. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. Welcome to Man 360.
So we're here at the Florida Strawberry Festival, and this is not a men's health segment, unfortunately and sadly, but we're gonna go around and try some of the best food here at the Strawberry Festival. Let's go. What is a strawberry onion?
Strawberry onion is a sweet onion that grows in the fields with the strawberries. So they line the fields.
So do they accept some of the taste of the strawberry or the...
I wish I could say yes, but then I feel like I was lying.
So unless someone goes and buys a strawberry onion and tastes it.
The reason why
But they are a sweet onion though.
They are a very sweet. No bite to them.
Okay.
You can eat them like raw.
You don't cry when you cut them?
Nope, no crying when you cut them. The reason why we did it was when our employees would go through the fields, no one ever wanted the outer row because you are only picking from one side instead of both sides.
Okay.
So that row would just get left there. And so we had to figure out something else that we could plant on the edge.
Smart.
And so onions it was.
Nice.
Yeah.
So a strawberry onion. Does not taste like strawberries though. Pastor Mike, thank you for being on Man 360.
You're welcome.
Now, even though you're on my program, I'm in your program right now at the Strawberry Festival here in Plant City. Why don't you share a little bit about who you are and what you do here at the Strawberry Festival?
So we started 15 years ago. This will be my 16th year with the Strawberry Festival. And my family and I started at this church at a festival. We had no idea what this all meant. Mm-hmm. And at that time, the previous administration, they were more about parking cars and making money. And we had a captive audience that came here that any church would just kill for. Right?
And you're across the street.
And we're across the street from the festival. So the first year, I just followed their lead. And then I said, we're missing something. We're not giving them the message. We're not reaching them with the word. So we started to hand out tracts. That's the go-to. We started handing out tracts. But we had window clings. We had things like that we were trying to facilitate. And then a friend of mine came here, and he said, you have all these workers going by. They're missing our campsite. Can we start handing out sandwiches here? So 15 years ago, we started handing out peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And I think the first year we did 30. And now we're up to 50,000 meals every season.
For 10 days.
For 10 days.
You do almost 50,000 meals. And Gina was showing me the list. She's like, I keep track of these every year.
5,000 a day.
That's so incredible. So, and obviously too, the ministry doesn't just happen to people that are attending, but people that are working the Strawberry Festival as well. Just can you share some of the things that are going on there too?
So this is pretty much a discipleship program. So we have a food bank every Wednesday, 52 weeks in a year, where we help out the community. During a festival, we shut that down. We turn into a campground, a parking lot, and a restaurant. And with the food that we normally would give out as groceries, we cook and we make meals for the people. All the people that you see behind us, now they wanted to get involved. So now they're being discipled. They're serving the Lord. Then from that, they start attending church service. From that, they get baptized, and then they become believers. Along that trail, they become believers.
So it's funny, I was asking you about how many people in your church get involved in the festival, and you said actually the festival will build the church because people will get saved, baptized, connected to what you're doing here. So tell me about the transitional moment. We were talking about the old golf course down the street.
Right.
How did you get into and being the pastor here at this church?
So my wife and I and the children, we're doing a family day trip, and we were going past the Strawberry Festival. It was closed. It had barbed wire around it, and chain link fence, and a big red building. And I said, that must be the prison. And so I took a shop right. I said, this is probably not a good place for a family. And the church was right here. And curiosity, I don't know why, I got out of my car, out of the Tahoe, looked in the window and said, oh Lord, not here. And I just...
You reserved your place in the ascension of becoming the pastor.
I spoke it into, right?
You spoke it into existence.
Right. And then a few months later, I was invited to come here and do some troubleshooting on the ministry, give them some feedback and some ideas.
Yeah.
And shortly thereafter, we built up the youth group. We had all the youth in the area, and the pastor stood up one day and said, I'm leaving the church.
Wow.
I'm done. This is my last Sunday.
Yeah.
I won't be coming back. He cut complete ties. We could never reach out to him.
Wow.
And so they nominated me the temporary interim until we can find a new pastor.
So they're still looking right
15
now?
15 years ago.
The church is still in the active.
They still get the search committee out every Sunday.
They roll them out. Well, does anybody want to take Mike's position?
And so the big thing was where Christ laid it on my heart that we're not supposed to make believers but disciples.
Yeah.
And so my job as the pastor is to allow everyone who wants to serve the ability to serve.
Yeah.
We have some people that are homeless. We have people that are elderly. We have young children, teenagers.
Yeah.
We have every walk of life, and they come up to me and say, I want to be involved. I want to work. There's no screening process. There's no checklist. There's no say 3 Our Fathers and a Hail Mary. It is get involved, roll up your sleeves, and start serving the Lord. That just renews everybody's spirit. When you start serving the Lord, you just, all of a sudden, you'll get on fire for Christ. People who I never thought would ever be saved are probably the most energetic, the most people that are involved. And they were just waiting for the opportunity.
Yeah, I think what's good too, and just walking and meeting some people and walking around, and it's interesting because I wouldn't be able to pick out who's homeless or who's not.
Right.
And I really appreciate that you've really kind of destroyed that stereotype of this is a homeless person that's always asking, always begging, and really being able to give an opportunity to give back. You introduced me and you said, hey, you know, that gentleman you just met, he's homeless. He lives in the woods back here behind Plant City, and coming in and helping out and being a right-hand man for you.
And there will be people who, when everyone else is exhausted, will come in the afternoons and they mop the floors, take out the trash, pick up the parking lot, and they do all of that. And they never have their hand out. They know that the blessing is coming.
Yeah.
They know that they've already been assured that.
Yeah.
You know, they're welcome, they're loved upon. The love here is second to none.
Yeah.
And that's the difference maker.
Yeah.
Some of these folks back here, we see them, you know, once a year. Some we see every day. But right during this Strawberry Festival, we all become family.
Yeah.
We miss each other, we hug each other's neck, and we just get back to serving Christ.
Yeah, you can just sense too the heart behind what you guys are doing is really more important. The food is just a vehicle to get them to Christ, right? It's not you're just feeding them, give them food or drink.
Our Lord told us that he would make us fishers of men.
Yeah.
Fishermen use bait.
Yeah.
The food is the bait. And it's not, remarkably, it's not just the bait for the recipients. It's the bait for the workers.
Wow.
Because everybody knows how to make a sandwich. Everybody knows how to make they're making fruit cups right now.
Yeah.
And they're cutting up watermelon and cantaloupe. And everyone knows how to do that at home. And it gives them purpose. So that food draws in the servanthood of the people. And it touches their hearts. I did one time, I did a study that there are over 1,400 mentions of food in the Bible.
Wow.
Right from the garden.
Yeah.
You can attest to that,
there you
right?
Go, right?
Right from the garden, all the way to the end of Revelation, where the cargo has flour and wheat at the day of Armageddon. I mean, it's right there at the port of Babylon. And you can see that throughout that God uses food in a remarkable way to touch people in different ways that we discount. We don't even see, you know, what he does.
Yeah, I know that meeting that basic need is so awesome. You know, my dad loves to buy socks. He lives in Helena, Montana.
Okay.
And he'll give socks away to people on the street or wherever, because socks is a big thing that they need too, as far as the colder weather and that kind of stuff too. But it's serving that need.
And your dad identifies with the cold weather with cold feet.
Right.
When I was a child, my family was on welfare. The poor people laughed at us.
Wow.
We would have to go to City Hall and ask for a box of food.
Wow.
And in those days, you got the government cheese, you got the canned turkey. Some people out there know what I'm talking about.
Wow.
The bag of rice, maybe some prunes, and they would yell your name across the room.
Wow.
They would say, the Fredettes are here to get their box. It was the most undignified embarrassment you could have. Here, we bring that dignity back.
Yeah.
One of my focuses is that no one is ever to feel belittled.
Yeah.
No one is ever to feel different because they need.
Yeah.
Because they're in a place of want. No one is ever to feel that they can judge.
Yeah.
So because the idea is to not only nourish the physical, but to lift up the soul and the spirit, and to make sure that everyone feels welcomed and that they are valued.
That's awesome. Mike, thank you so much for being on Man 360.
Thank you,
and
brother.
Just us hanging out.
Great,
and we just continue to believe that God's going to continue to use you guys and grow it as well.
Right. And as much as we want to be used, he's going to take advantage of that.
That's what he will in your retirement.
Yes, he will. In my retirement.
That's right. Thanks, Mike. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
In today's outdoor segment, we have our friend of the program and social media influencer, Aaron Malone of Gideon's Tactical. Aaron is a gear expert with years of experience reviewing the best outdoor equipment. We've hit the trails together countless times, sharing both laughter and wisdom with our friends on everything from day hikes to multi-day trips, many times over 10,000 feet in elevation here in Colorado and across the West. In this segment, we'll be sharing our top 10 essential tips for anyone looking to hike or enjoy the great outdoors. From the best gear to essential safety tips, we've got you covered. Whether you're a seasoned adventurer or just starting out, we know you'll find something valuable in our discussion. So go grab your backpacks and we'll explore these must-know considerations to make your next outdoor experience unforgettable. Let's dive in.
So Aaron, thank you again for being on the program. And again, we just always appreciate your wisdom and your mage outdoor knowledge.
I'm just a nerd out in the woods goofing around, but
you're like Pastor Wally. I'm just a blind man leading another blind man to bread for Jesus.
Right.
So today I want to talk about, we've talked about backpacks, we've talked about some of the mechanics of that piece, but I was thinking about that. I was like, we need to talk about what to bring on a hike.
Sure.
So there's a single day, one day kind of a hike out and back in. There could be, multi-day, more than like 2 or 3 days. We've done up to 4 or 5 days, with the guys. So I want to talk just about kind of the essentials of what you need for each of those in different quantities. Obviously, you're going to pack more food and more things if you're going on a longer hike versus a day. But you can't just think I'm only going to be gone for a day and I'm not going to need my first aid kit. I'm not going to need some of these things because there are times when you need that.
Right. I mean, what I always think through myself is, even though like today we're at a trailhead that we are super familiar with, I've probably hiked it a dozen times, but I'm always asking myself, what happens if I have to spend a night out here? Do I have the supplies? If I fall, I trip, even though I know it like the back of my hand, some unforeseen consequence occurs, my truck won't start and I have no cell service, whatever. Can I spend the night here out on the trail? And so that's a really good filter for you to go ask yourself, can I do that? Even if you know it like the back of your hand. And you're super
Don't take
familiar.
it for granted.
Don't take it for granted.
That you know what you're doing or know where you are.
Correct.
Because anything can happen when you're out hiking.
Correct.
So you kind of need to think worst case scenario.
Yeah, so I just have kind of a list here. A lot of it's common sense, but sense ain't so common anymore, apparently.
Apparently not.
So the first one is hands-free illumination, a headlamp, something you don't have to hold, a flashlight. You either would have to hold in your hand or in your mouth. And the reason for that is what happens if you have a medical emergency that you have to do things for yourself or somebody else and you need to use your hands. Or you have to crawl, scramble, you fell down and you're having to climb up something or you're having to build something or work on something. And trying to like lay a flashlight down or try to hold it, now your one hand is used. So hands-free illumination is a really like no-brainer.
Super basic.
Yeah, very basic, but it helps a lot. The next one is navigation and signaling tools. Okay, so that may sound like a lot, but it's pretty simple.
A flare gun?
Yeah. So a compass and
like Charlie's
yourself.
Angels right there. Flare gun.
Like we know that we're going to go southwest if we were to hit the trail and start hiking. We know that. So to come back, we got to go northeast. So it's like those type of just simple things, but having a compass, having an emergency whistle, having a reflective mirror, just a little mirror that you can use to signal people if you had to.
And that's a mirror too that has like a little hole in it. So people don't know that, so you can aim and you can look and you can see where you're. I mean, a normal mirror will work. Right. That's again something that's specific to a signaling mirror.
Yeah. So those are some things that would be like.
Or a loud friend. A loud friend.
A very loud friend, but their voice could get kind of hoarse.
You don't need to say very loud. That was a little over the top, buddy.
So then the next one is, and this is more of a conceptual thing as well, is tools to start a fire. So like a Bic lighter. Some sort of fire starter, having some basic knowledge of how to start a fire. Not only is that a good signaling tool, it will just mentally help you calm down, kind of relax. Like, okay, I have fire, helps keep animals away, will keep you warm at night if you need to. And that kind of flows into what most first responders recommend, which is if you discover that you're lost, stay put.
Don't wander because they make it worse.
Unless you absolutely know where you're going, stay put and not get yourself more lost.
And I've said this too, as a thing to bring, is a level head. Number one, because we know we've been in situations where like people are just like losing their crap and they're panicking, and it's like when you panic and you freeze, that overtakes all of your normal sense of what to do, especially if you feel like you're getting lost or you don't know where you are. So it's really important that you keep your head
and keep focused on that stuff too.
And so the fire will give you like a place kind of to stay. It will make you feel like you're at home even when you're lost.
Right.
So,
but don't build a house there and live there because you're still lost.
Right. A first aid kit.
Yep.
Okay, so a basic first aid kit. My recommendation is to build one out yourself. If you have no first aid knowledge, I would get some classes. There are lots of free classes, a lot of fire departments, even like colleges, state colleges and stuff will do like free classes or very inexpensive ones.
Yeah.
And you can always buy pre-built ones if you have
Which
to.
Which are good.
They're
like
not
SOL, some of the other ones that do a decent job of that. So.
They do okay. I like to, if you have some basic knowledge, it's more.
But you're a connoisseur of the outdoors.
I know, but well, okay.
An aficionado, as they say.
Okay, and you may say, again, you may go like, well, I just hike in like very populated areas. I'll just give a really quick story. We were on a trail that was extremely populated. It was the weekend. I mean, we got hundreds of people all around this. You can see town from where we're hiking. And we're coming down. I have my med kit with me. I hear a scream, a young child scream. I kind of jog down the trail. A girl had just tripped and fallen, hit her knee really hard, and really blood was just going down her leg, like pouring. So it wasn't life-threatening, but it was something that needed to be attended to, and her parents had no medical supplies. And we were probably a mile and a half at least from the car.
Right.
So we were able to work together, stabilize her, get the bleeding to stop with some of the bandages and stuff I had, and then Dad took her down the rest of the way, and everything was good to go. So first aid kit, and then extra clothes. So
or layers. Like we always bring. Like I always bring an extra warmer layer
and a beanie.
Or a beanie, hat to keep your ears warm.
Absolutely. Even in the middle of summer when it's like July and it's like 90 degrees sometimes when we're hiking, I always have a beanie. It's very small, it's lightweight, and if I had to spend the night and the temperature dropped, it will help that scenario.
And most people don't know too that the most heat that you alleviate out of your body is your head.
Correct.
So if you're getting cold, if you put a hat on or you put a beanie on, that's going to help warm your body right away.
Correct. Anyways. So yeah, some sort of extra clothing. So even if it's just a base layer, you're like, yeah, I'm only wearing a t-shirt. Well, bring just a long sleeve shirt or bring a windbreaker or something. Even if you know it's going to be 90 degrees, you just never know.
Yep.
And then on the flip side, if it's cold, bring an extra layer, do all that type of stuff. Extra water. So, figure out ballpark. I mean, I can't tell you, Brian, I've seen so many times people hiking like
on 14,000 foot peaks that we climb.
Dehydration.
Guy coming down with a Arrowhead single water bottle.
16 ounces of water.
And we're
like passing out. It's like, what are you doing?
Right.
More water, the merrier. So like a good amount of water and some extra water, some extra food. If you're like, yeah, I'm going to take a Cliff Bar, granola bar with me.
Yep.
That's probably all I'm going to need. Great. Pack one more. What happens if you have to eat an extra meal because you got stuck, something happened, just bring a little bit extra and it could literally be the difference. And then shelter. So that could just be like a rain poncho. You can just hunker down next to a tree, you got your fire maybe, whatever, you're good to go. An emergency blanket.
Yeah, those tinfoil emergency blankets.
They're like $1.
They're so cheap.
Yeah.
And you can even get one, I think we bought them before where you get them at the Army surplus store too. If you have an Army surplus store in your town, those are super cheap. Again, they're like a couple bucks, totally worth it.
They're waterproof.
And they're waterproof.
So they'll protect you from the rain. You can hunker down and it'll reflect the heat back at you and help. And it's very light and very inexpensive. So this is a really good one. So Brian and I have spouses. We told our spouses where we were going today. We told them what trailhead we were going to, what our plans were. So they have a general idea of where we are.
And don't expect us to be home for dinner.
Right. So if you tell somebody where you're going. So even if it's a coworker, just be like, hey, I'm going so-and-so peak or so-and-so trail this weekend, just so somebody knows. And then, particularly if you're single, and you're not married, that is very important. And then at your vehicle, leave a note as well. Like put just a little handwritten note on your board, like, hey, took trail XYZ, plan on being back by this day or this time. And then the first responders could see that and at least have a direction on where you were going.
And if you're hiking in national forests, this is one thing that when we hiked in national forest areas, they will normally have a box before you go into national forest where you're listing your group and you're putting like a contact information or something on there. Don't be Mr. Cool and be like, I don't need to do that. You need to do that. Anything that you can do to make sure that people know where you are, whether it's your family or relative, or again, if it's something like that, like a box, you're like, I don't want people to have my personal information for the government or whatever. Get rid of all that crap. You need to be able to make sure people know and fill those sheets out too before you go into
because first responders will know where you
exactly
were
where you are and who are in your group and all that stuff too. Even if you're incapacitated and they find you, they know there's going to be 3 or 4 other people with you that are hiking, or you're by yourself.
Totally. And then the last thing is our phones. We carry them with us everywhere. And right now where we're standing, we have no cell phone coverage. But I know that there is cell phone coverage over on that peak because I've hiked it and I know that I can get some messages and stuff. have a spare battery bank for your phone with a charging cable.
Yep.
Because your phone may die and you may not be able to access cell phone coverage from where you're at, but oh, if I get a little higher, maybe I can send out a message and tell people where I am.
Yep.
So spare battery bank, I think, is a great idea.
Aaron, I think we have fully filled out the purpose of Gideon's Tactical, which is what? Stay equipped
and stay
prepared. So we'll provide links for, again, your YouTube channel. You always have great videos, different lengths, different subjects. We'll provide, again, some more information on man360.tv for people to be able to connect with you if they want to have a further conversation, or they can connect or message you directly. And maybe, again, we'll give you that list as well that we can put on the website for people too. So thanks again.
Cool.
Appreciate it. Holy Crap, Finding God's Presence in Your Pain is more than just a book. It's a look into a very painful time in my life where I almost lost my eye to a disease that doctors could not find a root cause. It's also about realizing that even though I didn't want to hold on to God in my disease, that He was still holding on to me. It's a known fact that at some point in life, we'll all go through a painful circumstance, and who we are and what we believe will be tested. This book is my story of what I went through, but also what I learned in the process. I'm excited to help people see that they can find the holy in the crap of their lives. Let's do our 360-degree review of today's program. When you witness the impactful work that Pastor Mike Fredette and his team in Plant City do, you truly understand the meaning of Jesus with skin on. This simple church is doing extraordinary things to advance the kingdom of God, reflecting Christ's love through their actions and providing vital support and spiritual encouragement to the workers of the Strawberry Festival, the homeless, and others in need throughout the area. My conversation with Pastor Mike was nothing short of inspiring. It challenged me to consider how I'm asking God to use my talents for His glory and to dream bigger. Perhaps what Mike shared today will encourage you to get involved with meaningful ministry or push you outside your comfort zone for Jesus. It's always important to ask the Holy Spirit how you can be involved in touching the lives of people around you, and many times that starts with just seeing a need and filling it. For more information about Pastor Mike's incredible work, be sure to visit the additional content page of our website, man360.tv. I hope you enjoyed the conversation with my friend Aaron Malone, who shared the top 10 things to consider when hiking. Essential tips, not just for those long multi-day hikes, but for any time you plan to take a trip into the backcountry. Being prepared is crucial when venturing into the wilderness, and it doesn't take much to plan for issues so you can enjoy your time in the great outdoors. To dig into a little deeper and watch some other relevant outdoor content, you can go to our website for all the links to Aaron's extensive YouTube page. Man360 exists to help men be complete in every way through Christ, mentally, physically, and spiritually. We encourage you to connect with us on our website, Facebook, or Instagram, and we'll see you next week, right here on Man360. In around the Strawberry Festival, compete with a very important. That's sometimes how I feel like when I mess up, so.